I am so excited to be back in Baltimore. This is a city I've visited many times before, and I love it here, so let's explore. Pineapple rum side down cake. I mean, look at it.
Oh my god.
It has like smaller piece of almost like crushed pineapple. The sauce, it's got a little bit of rum. It's like a rum caramel, coconut.
Come along as I explore Maryland's most populous city, the birthplace of the American Railroad, and a city that's home to a vital seaport. Baltimore also has some incredible restaurants.
We have a broccoli Caesar. I love the idea of doing with broccoli for like something that's a little bit more hearty and dense. The broccoli Caesar works exactly as I thought it would, and it's so good.
And a dynamic Black business scene, which I'll definitely be checking out on this 2-day trip sponsored by Visit Baltimore. So let's get into this itinerary, which would be a good one that you can copy and recreate for a weekend trip in the city, and I will link all of our stops in the caption below.
So I'm up early for me. I'm not a morning person. I'm in the back of an Uber. I'm headed to Union Station in DC because I'm taking a train to Baltimore today.
Getting up early was worth it in this case. I made it to Union Station on time, which is not always the case, and I met up with my friend who was coming with me for this little Baltimore adventure, and then we hopped on an Amtrak.
So I very recently moved back to Washington, D.C., and one of the things I love about living in D.C. is how close it is to other destinations like Baltimore. I'm on the Acela right now. It's only 29 minutes from D.C. to Baltimore on this train.
We made it to Baltimore. I don't know if you can tell by my face, I'm so tired. We're gonna make a quick coffee stop before we hop into the official itinerary. I'm actually here with Visit Baltimore. I'm here with the tourism board, and so I'm gonna be spending a couple days with my friend Dom.
Hi.
Exploring mostly Black-owned businesses, Black history, and Black culture, which I'm really excited about. But first, coffee.
We popped over to Olivia Coffee, which was just a block or two down from Penn Station in Baltimore, and quickly got some caffeine, which, ironically, I'm not really a coffee drinker, and I don't drink a lot of caffeine except when I'm on these trips and I have long days and intense itineraries, and then suddenly I want all the coffee, all the goodies, and definitely all the matcha. I really need a caffeine. That's delicious, though. It's not too sweet. I asked for it half sweet.
Okay, I've been caffeinated. The matcha I had was amazing, and now we're headed off to the first stop on this official itinerary for this sponsored project. We are headed to the Art of Balance Spa, which is a Black-owned spa in the Ritz-Carlton Residences. I'm excited. I've been on the road. I just moved. I could use a little TLC.
And I got all the TLC I needed. The level of education and attention to detail of the staff was top-notch, and I got a hydrofacial that had me glowing, and also some skincare education while I was in my session that was really useful. Dominique loved her massage as well, and a glass of bubbly was the perfect way to cap our self-care session. You look refreshed. How was your massage?
I can't really form sentences, so I feel like that says it all.
I had to put my hair up because she ruined my hair in the best and most appropriate way. All right, only in the most appropriate ways with that facial. And I was like, we still have stuff on the itinerary today. I just have to fix this.
Then it was time to run to our next stop.
We made it to Sagamore. We're over here at Sagamore. Is that how you pronounce it?
Sagamore, yeah.
I got it right. We are at Sagamore Spirits. We're gonna take a tour. It is the 7th anniversary of the distillery this weekend, so they're setting up for a party, and it smells amazing in here. What is the scent?
So that's the whiskey. So, yep, you're gonna smell it even more when we get into the other building.
Nice. I'm into it. It's time for a little tasting.
Do you guys drink scotch at all?
I think it's fair to say we're drinkers.
So,
Yeah.
That's good. I'm not gonna ask you if you drink again. You guys are drinkers, so that's good.
As someone who truly loves food and wine and cocktails and beer even, because I love tasting, I love being able to pick up little notes here and there, learn about the history of dishes or drinks or brands or how they're made. Of course, I love a distillery tour.
Looks really sweet.
It is.
Yeah, because the sugars haven't been consumed yet, right? Yeah.
And Chad, who led our tour and has a long history with the Sagamore brand, walked us through the whole story. From the history of Maryland rye to the development of this location on the Baltimore Peninsula to various aspects of the distillation process.
So you do get evaporation over time, and if you look at this barrel, Chad said it was filled 6 years ago, and you can look at this line and see how much has evaporated over time. That is nice. It is sweeter.
It is.
And then now I get vanilla. That's lovely.
Yeah.
Taste number 2, she purdy. I'll say that. Immediately orange peel. So far it's my favorite. It's kind of nutty.
Yeah.
So I get like orange, but also like, not sesame, but like a nutty, very mellow, mild.
So the distillery was lovely, and now it's time to eat. We are at Rize Rest, which is a dual concept. So in the morning, it's like a coffee shop, hence the name Rize. And then in the evening, it is a fine casual restaurant. It is Black owned, which, by the way, all of the restaurants that we're going to this trip are Black owned. I think we're hitting some Black owned shops. The only things that we're doing that are not Black owned are staying at the Roost and then Sagamore Distillery. But the distillery was amazing, so we had to put it in the itinerary. Now, let's eat. It's been a long day.
This was such a fun stop. We chatted for a bit with the chef and owner, Randall Matthews, who I think has developed such a smart concept right in a walkable neighborhood where people can just pop in. The drinks were well balanced and fun.
This is the Endless Summer mango-infused bourbon, tamarind, egg white, some citrus. It looks beautiful, and I love tamarind, so let's try it. Oh, baby, it's perfect. Yeah, the spice one on the side of the glass has a little kick. Sweet mango, but then a little bit of like acidity and sour from the tamarind.
And the food, let me show you.
Crispy oysters, avocado, garlic aioli, 7-hour chili oil, some chives. Mama's gonna get down. So well executed. The oysters are crispy, the avocado's soft. You get some of the garlic aioli, but then like the pickling vinegar, the taste from the pickled veg hits you on the back end, which cuts through how like soft and kind of creamy it is. We have a broccoli Caesar. Now I love Caesar salad, so I'm really excited about this. I love the idea of doing with broccoli for like something that's a little bit more hearty and dense. I know I'm gonna get a comment about my table manners, whatever. The broccoli Caesar works exactly as I thought it would, and it's so good. Day 2 in Baltimore, say hi.
Hello.
We had the most amazing dinner last night and then immediately went to sleep. Like, finished dessert and passed out. And so it's day 2, we are refreshed, and we are starting off with a stop at Couples Tea House, a Black-owned tea house. We're gonna have some tea and pastries and breakfast. I'm gonna buy some tea, I'm a tea person. And then we'll see where the day takes us.
This was such a relaxing way to start the day. We got a tea flight to try multiple teas.
Oh, that's a beautiful tea.
Some snacks and pastries.
This is the cream cheese filled carrot cake muffin. And then this is a sweet potato scone. Look at the scone. We cut them in half so we could share them, but I mean, it looks beautiful. It said this one is the favorite, so it's like sweet potato pie in scone form. What's not to love?
And I, of course, shopped for a few teas to take home, and they had some herbal blends that I was really excited about. And then we popped over to Vinyl and Pages, owned by the same duo behind Couples Tea House. They have local goods, records, and a really well-curated selection of books. And I've been debating getting a record player for my new apartment, and I think this stop just tipped me in the direction of yes, I absolutely should.
And you know I love a good museum, so the next stop is the Reginald F. Lewis Museum, the largest African-American museum in Maryland.
This ended up being one of my favorite stops on this trip. The 3rd floor of the museum houses a permanent exhibit on Black Maryland history, and then the 2nd floor, a rotating exhibit. During our visit, the 2nd floor was home to a textile-based exhibit called Black Women Genius that focused on Elizabeth Talford Scott's work among other contemporary Black women artists and explored themes like ancestry, healing, tradition, girlhood, and more.
So I love museums, and I go to a lot of museums on all of my trips when I'm at home, and this is actually one of my favorite exhibits that I've been to in a long time. It explores themes of femininity and sexuality and ancestry and guidance, and it's just really beautifully done, and it's thoughtfully curated. And they have this interactive exhibit here at the end, so we're gonna do it together. So this is a community installation that you can participate in when you visit this exhibit, and here's what you do. You choose a scrap from the barrel, fold it in half, and then you tie knots for yourself, your loved ones, and your ancestors. And then you secure your scrap to this fence, this community fence full of symbols of everyone else's selves and ancestors and community. And then after this exhibit ends, this community installation will be exhibited in other parts of the museum. Here are the fabric scraps we have to choose from, so many colors and patterns. Okay, so let's choose a fabric scrap. I feel like something bright. For my family and my ancestors, definitely something bright. So I picked a fabric scrap. It feels vibrant and lively. So it says to fold it in half and then tie a knot for yourself. Big old knot for my big old ego. And then for your loved ones, I'll do a couple here, one for my mom.
This is harder than it looks, okay? Mom, I'll do one for my sister and my nephews. One for my bajillion other nieces and nephews. We got a big family. We'll add my brother in there. I'm running out of space. Okay, so that's just me and my loved ones. So we'll do an ancestor knot. I'm sorry, ancestors. Should have more space. Okay, I'm gonna tie the ancestor knot so it incorporates some of the smaller knots. So it's them and us all together. There we go. All right, I think I'll attach this here. I have a lot of knots, so. Or do I don't think you tie it to someone else. I think you tie it to the thing. I think we tie it to the thing. Am I making this up? Okay. You can barely see us, but we're here. I love that. That was really cool. So after our museum visit, of course, we had to get a snack. So we walked just a few minutes down to the harbor to go to Crust by Mac, which just opened at this location here on the water. It's beautiful. I will show you the space. But most importantly, we had to get some crab pies. That is what Crust by Mac is known for. I've had them before. They are amazing. And we're in Baltimore, so of course we have to have some crab. So take a look at this beauty, okay? Think of it as like a crusted crab hand pie. I might make a huge mess, but I wanna show y'all the filling. So I'm gonna try to break this in half. I might ruin it, don't judge me. But it's like a beautiful, flaky, buttery crust that holds its shape. It's gorgeous. And then the whole thing is stuffed with crab. I'm gonna try to break this open. Pray for me. If you pray, or just like send good thoughts my way. Can I do it? Can I do it? I think I can do it. I want to get it. I want to break it open right down the middle so you can get that cross section. Oh, I think it's happening. Oh, I think it's happening. Can I put it? Yeah. That is the crab pie. That, among many other beautifully baked things, is why you come to Crust by Mac. I already took a bite. Time for another bite. I'm gonna pour a little. Hot. The crab filling is so rich. Look at this crust. It's just perfectly flaky. That's why I love this spot. Also, yes, my friend is sitting across from me at the table watching me have a moment with this crab pie.
I'm like sad it's gone.
We can get more. This Black woman-owned business has been a longtime favorite of mine, and though they are known for their crab pies, all of the baked goods are amazing, and I can't wait to go back to try some of their expanded menu with new brunch items. And then for a sip, we stopped into Stem and Vine. The lush space at this combined plant store and wine bar feels so inviting, and the wine program is phenomenal.
Basically, the concept behind our wine program and our spirits is to focus on women-owned or women-run distilleries, breweries, wineries, or Black and Indigenous people of color. So, while the wine world is largely Eurocentric, we're trying to focus a little more on more marginalized or at least underrepresented people.
We got some great wine education during our tasting.
That is the Lake Chalice. This is from Marlborough, New Zealand.
Okay.
The winemaker is Chloe Gabrielson. She's didn't come necessarily from a family of winemakers. She just decided after college to get a degree in enology and viticulture, and started making wine.
Wow.
She had an interest.
She had an interest. She went for it, and she's making great wine. This is a really lovely representation of like classic Marlborough, New Zealand. And the second one would be the Sky Bubbles. Same grape, 100% Sauv Blanc and Spartan.
Girl, if you don't cheers me.
Sorry, I was sniffing.
I'll definitely be back next time I'm in Baltimore.
post wine tasting at Stem and Vine, which was fabulous. Their selection of wine is really thoughtfully curated and interesting, and a lot of wines that you don't necessarily find in a ton of places, so it's a place to have a tasting that is unique. But they know their stuff, right? I would say the beverage program clearly is like they got a deep bench, I would say. So now we're at Urban Oyster, which we're here for dinner. We're at this little tasting chef's table set up right by the kitchen. And I have come to Urban Oyster back in the day before they were in this location when it was, they've done pop-ups. It was a little bit of a more casual concept. And now we are in this beautiful, I think 2-month-old, fully built out, gorgeous space that feels, it just feels very bright, and it also feels very grown and sexy. I'm like, somebody take me here on a date. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Oh my gosh, our cocktails are here. Thank you. Our server is like, what are these people doing? Being an influencer, you have to stop ever getting embarrassed. You have to just be a strange person making strange faces. Oh, the kitchen's watching us now too. Hello.
So yes, given the name, you definitely have to try some of the oysters here.
She's like, do I have oyster in my tea? The answer is yes.
There's a selection of raw oysters to choose from.
Yeah.
It tastes like the sea in the best way.
Yeah.
I also love the char-grilled oyster options as well.
So good. It's really like saucy, but I think the textural elements are nice, like the crisp green onion and the crunchy. It's nice. Historically, black people, especially in the Chesapeake Bay region, used to be the primary oyster shuckers, oystermen, work in the seafood industry, take up the majority of those jobs. And oysters in the United States have a long history in the black community as an avenue for entrepreneurship, but also as a food. So to me, even though some people are in my comments like, ew, I'm like, this is a black food.
And beyond that, the seared scallops with mushroom risotto and corn puree was phenomenal.
Got some scallop in there. I'm gonna scald myself.
Blow.
No notes. I would have expected this to be heavy. It's not.
Mine is good, but I have to say, it's pasta sauce with like cheese and cream plus lobster, so I feel like it's hard to ruin, so I want to try hers. Boop. Also, if you have dinner with me, you have to share, and if you're not sharing, we're not friends. This beautiful mushroom risotto. I will say the flavor profile on this one is lovely. The mushrooms have this depth, and then corn, it just tastes like kind of fresh and light. It adds some complexity and it's not like really heavy on the palate. But I feel like mushrooms and corn, dynamic historic duo, right? So
I said I want to come here for a date night, and that definitely stands.
it's our final night in Baltimore. But what do you think so far?
I'm blown away every time I come here.
I know.
This has been stunning.
So Dominique also lives in DC, and I think sometimes living in a city like DC, which is so dynamic, we forget how much there is nearby, how much talent, how much like art and music and exploration that you can get if you just like hop on the train. So far, what's your favorite stop?
That's not fair. I mean, to be honest, I haven't stopped thinking about the dessert from last night at Rize Rest.
The strawberry shortcake bar, friends.
I'm lactose intolerant, but it was worth it.
Okay, technically we're both lactose intolerant. I just pretend like I'm not. RIP my stomach and whoever's sharing a room with me. It's really hard. I can't pick a favorite stop. I would say the food so far has been excellent everywhere we've been, and I really, really liked the wine bar that we were just at. I think sometimes for like being a black person in food and beverage, I think sometimes the wine space can feel really uninviting, and like the terminology they use is esoteric and like strange, and it's just a world where if you don't know the language, sometimes you feel out of place. But I have loved in recent years, and not just this place at Stem and Vine, but other spots throughout the country and initiatives in Oregon and California, this push to make wine more accessible to the everyday consumer, because fundamentally, like, you know, it's something nice that should be, you can pour yourself a glass and you can feel good about it and you can like taste it and be like, oh, this is fun, or it's interesting, or it reflects my mood, and it doesn't have to be so complicated.
Right, not just something that the elite can enjoy.
Yeah, and it also doesn't have to be super expensive. Like, granted, some of my favorite wines are expensive. I'm bougie. I'm hobby. But it doesn't have to be. Cheers to our second night in Baltimore.
And then on our final morning, we made the trip back to DC. So thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, don't forget to hit subscribe for more videos like this, exploring incredible Black-owned restaurants, Black-owned businesses, and more in Baltimore and beyond.